in 2016 as the Partnership Schools for Liberia. The idea behind LEAP was to bring a paradigm shift in our educational sector. As we all know, the sector was paralyzed by the 14 years of civil unrest. And when we were at the point of coming back on our feet, we also had the Ebola virus disease that also came and destroyed the fabric of our educational sector.
Okay.
Children weren't going to school. An entire generation was as a threat of being left behind. So the government cannot solve this problem on its own. And it looked beyond the traditional public school system, and we tried to look to foreign stakeholders to support this effort. So in 2016, we enacted the clause within the Education Reform Act of 2011 that says the government shall encourage public-private partnership for the competition in education. So as a result, we look out to foreign stakeholders to come and support government initiatives to enhance teaching and learning across our public schools, primarily at the primary level.
Okay.
The goal was to improve learning outcome. We need an intervention that would demonstrate that this program worth it, and at the end of the day, we want to see the empirical evidence that this program has increased learning outcomes at the primary level. So in 2016, we went through a competitive bidding process, and 8 partners were contracted to run this initiative. The program started as a pilot with 93 schools across 13 counties, and providers were clustered and given schools to manage. And the baseline was done, the midline was done, and in 2019, the end line was done. So it clearly states that from the empirical evidence, we had a foreign company, a US-based company called the Center for Global Development that conducted an impact evaluation. We called it a randomized controlled trial on the program. And at the end of the research, it clearly demonstrated that out of the 8 providers, we have 5 outstanding providers that contributed immensely in improving learning gains from the ECE to grade 6.
Okay.
And in terms of the number, we have students in the LEAP managed schools, the partnership schools, performed by an additional 2.5 years of learning as compared to that period in the traditional randomized school that was selected during the trial.
Okay.
So from all indication, the program lived up to its standard, and from then the government has decided to expand the program and move on with this program. So just basically the overview of the LEAP initiative.
Okay, so who are some of the partners you are working with?
Well, we started with 8 partners. Like I said, the government took a bold step to sanction some of the providers or the partners that didn't do well in learning gains because the program is strictly learning driven. We need outcomes. It's an evidence-based program. So those partners that didn't perform well were sanctioned.
Okay.
So currently we left with 4 high-performing partners into the initiative. And these partners are Bridge Liberia. Bridge Liberia is one of our biggest partners that control 312 schools across the 15 counties.
Okay.
We have Rising Academy Network. It's one of our partners that control 95 schools across 10 counties in the Republic of Liberia. And we have Street Child Liberia, which also into the intervention, and they control 40 schools across 4 counties. And we have Youth Movement for Collective Action, which is a local-based organization with vast experience in education, and they're currently managing 40 schools across 4 counties. So in total, we have 487 schools under the interventions, serving over 120,000 students across our sector. And what we're interested is that this initiative is free of charge. The government went into a partnership with these partners, and the government provide 50% of the support, and other 50% comes from philanthropy funding to support this initiative. So in the LEAP intervention schools, students do not pay fees. There's a first of a kind tuition free at the ECE level. If you look at our academic calendar, ECE is very expensive. And in the public schools, ECE students pay a minimum of $3,500 Liberian dollar.
Okay.
But unlike LEAP schools, parents just have to send their children to school. What is acceptable in the LEAP school is just a minimum PTA agreed fee, which is nothing above 500. Below 500, that's acceptable at the LEAP schools to help with PTA engagement in terms of other initiatives we want to do at the school. So the program has been built on a strong community engagement and have a well-structured PTA to support the school as they go along with the academic activities.
Okay, you said initially you started working with 8 partners, but unfortunately, 4 of the partners were sanctioned, and the other 4 were dropped, right?
Well, sanction mean drop.
Okay.
They were taken
Fine,
out of
you
the
drop
program.
them. You drop
because
them.
of lack of evidence
Fine.
of improving
So,
learning gain.
so why did you? What was the reasons? Yes, you said they didn't perform well, for which they were sanctioned. But how didn't they perform? Because I know that they have their own version of the story. How didn't they perform?
So basically, when we contracted these partners, they were given leverage to use that model, the thing that will improve learning gain. So we gave them that autonomous on the usage of an educational model that will transform education. So we were not like go A, B, C. No. We're like, yeah, you are at liberty to bring a model, but this model should be aligned with our national curriculum. So we do not have discrepancy in the presentation of license. What we allow you to do as well is to bring educational materials that will complement our national curriculum.
Okay.
So we're giving that liberty. And as part of the program, just to mention, the idea behind this program was looking at in the sub-region, government spend around most government in the sub-region spend around $100 to educate a child based on the national budget. Unlike Liberia, we spend far less than that. We spend around $50. So the additional $50 was sourced from philanthropy donor to complement the budget to see that if this provider can work within the threshold of $100 to improve learning at an acceptable rate. So these providers that didn't perform were being evaluated. A specific methodology was used to evaluate them.
Okay.
And students were randomly selected, and the trial went for 3 years. So the baseline was done, the midline and the end line. These students were followed from year 1 up to year 3 to see the impact of the intervention. And like I said, these providers neither reduced learning or contributed to learning. So it was no skill. So as a result, because the intervention, like I said, is evidence driven. So we couldn't continue with these 4 providers. Unfortunately, that was the hard decision we have to take. And they may have other argument in terms of how to reach error, in terms of teachers abandoning the job. So as a result, students will have full time. But that is not sufficient to justify why you didn't improve learning. That's why you're giving extra resources to ensure that you put the necessary monitoring mechanism in place and the necessary teacher training component to ensure your teachers perform up to the acceptable manner. Yeah, so
Do you care to give us the names of those 4 partners that were sanctioned?
So basically, we start with 8 providers, like I said, and the actual interventions, we had 7 providers that are taking over schools, but 8 providers, because in terms of the research, in terms of the impact evaluation, the randomized control trial document, the 8 providers were factored, so there was no way to take out a provider that didn't take part into the program. So we have Stella Marriage that went through the bidding process, but unfortunately, they didn't take over a school, and so they were out. So in IDEA, we had 7 providers. So out of the 7, we had BRAC Liberia was one of our partners. They did not contribute to learning gain based on the intervention, but it did work in terms of child safety. So there were a lot of components of the research was looking at child safety, access to education, retention, and a lot of issues they were looking at. So in terms of the goal, academic achievement that wasn't demonstrated in the program, so they had to drop. We had to drop them. We had Omega Enterprise. Omega was a Ghanaian-based enterprise that supports schools. Unfortunately, there weren't any demonstration of improvement in learning gain, so as a result, they were also sanctioned. So we have 5. As we all know, the issues of Modemi was one of our partner, and the issue of that sexual scandal that happened way back before the intervention into the program had an impact on the program. So as a result, we couldn't continue with the intervention. So that brings us to 4 providers that did extremely well in learning gain.
Now, when you talk about the 4 that did extremely well and the other 4 that didn't do well, but let's look at how, what do you measure? How do you measure their work to determine that, yes, indeed, the reason why they enter the partnership, the reason is achieved? We see clearly the evidence. So how do you measure that?
So basically, there are indicators we set. Like this was a learning curve. I must admit on this platform that there were some misstep on the way, but so as we go along the program, we corrected those misstep, and we are at the comfortable point where we feel that this program is something that should be sustained by government, and this is something that has a spillover effect positively on the educational sector. Just to give you a background, the intervention was the first to introduce a full school day in Liberia. Unlike our traditional public schools, schools used to close by 12:30, 1 o'clock. You go in the interior, most of the teachers are gone. But unlike the LEAP intervention, we have students from 7:45 a.m. up to 3 p.m. on the campus. So that one of the spillover effect. So as a result, we redesign our academic calendar to include a full school day.
Okay.
We also have an intensive monitoring of the program. Unlike our traditional school back then, which was visited at least once a year by an education officer, given the hard number of schools they had to visit. But in terms of the LEAP program, we have a school was being visited at least twice a week.
Okay.
So as a result, the monitoring increased and teachers were being checked on. So as a result, the attitude towards work changed greatly. There were also resentment on that point because some of the teachers were accustomed to moonlighting,
Okay.
where they come to spend 2 hours at the public school and leave and go to another private school. But they were being paid full time. Teachers are civil servants under our Liberian law,
Okay.
and they should be governed by the civil service rules and regulations, the civil service standing order. So we try to effect that clause. So as a result, in year one, there were a lot of resentment from teachers.
Okay.
They were being checked on. They had to be in classroom. They had a specific lesson completion. They have to meet all of those requirements. So it was like a police on them, monitoring them. So as a result, we had a lot of hitches from the year one up to year two. But gradually we work on it, and this has become a national policy across the educational sector, having a full school day, ensure that teachers shouldn't moonlight. You should be in the classroom, spending at least a minimum of around 8 hours a day in the school to ensure that teaching and learning takes place. We also have a real-time data on teachers' attendance, students, as well as retention rate. We have a real-time data on all of the 487 schools that are currently under the intervention. So as a result of the intense monitoring, so the government has to revisit its policy in terms of the number of schools or district education officers should visit. So as a result, we created additional school district.
Okay.
I think currently we have around 124 school districts. So as a result, DOs have fewer schools to visit. So as a result, we try to improve on our monitoring and supervision in our schools. So as part of the component as well, these providers have full cardinal responsibility. One is to provide teaching and learning material. All of the schools they intervene in, there should be chalk in the classroom. There should be textbooks provided by the partners.
Okay.
There should be teacher training. We have teacher training, school leadership training. Teachers have to be trained, refresher trainings, and continuous professional development training for this teacher.
Annual training or?
It's biannually, so it's
Okay.
like first semester or training, then second semester another training. So we have 2 training a year. As part of that, we also include child safety component in it. So all of the partners supported schools have a child safety personnel that ensure that we adhere to the child safety rules in terms of the gender-based violence in schools, sexual harassment. This is something that we also have training for our school leadership. We also get the community involved as a community part of the school structure.
Okay.
So these are the things we look at. We also look at student attendance. We look at teachers' attendance. We look at retention rate. So a lot of things we look at in the program, those indicators. So like I said, this was a one-time randomized control trial because this was a government-led initiative and government never wanted to evaluate its own program. So the evaluation aspect was outsourced to the Washington, D.C.-based Center for Global Development that did this impact evaluations, and the result clearly demonstrated that this program has increased learning outcome across our country. So as a result, we have expanded. For 93 schools, we have 487 schools. Like I said, those were some of the hitches in terms of checking on teachers on a regular basis, ensure that they report to class. And I must say this, there was some, during the initial stage of the program, there was some resentment because they felt the previous administration didn't do well in terms of a stakeholder engagement
Okay.
to really sell this program to our National Teacher Association, civil society organization to understand the program. So as a result, they drew back, and there were a lot of media reporting on the LEAP programs that they are dropping students from school, and all of the issues have been resolved. And the program, in the wisdom of the current administration, when they took over, these were some of the complaints that came to them. And what they did a nationwide tour of the LEAP schools and non-LEAP schools, and they saw the practicality of what is happening in the school. And based on that, the program was redesigned, rebranded from the Partnership Schools of Liberia to the Liberia Education Advancement Program with more community stakeholder engagements, government buy-in, and the program just being expanded. So under this administration, the program has expanded largely
Okay.
from 193 schools to 487 schools.
Wow, 487 schools across the entire country, right?
Yeah, across the 15 counties.
Okay.
So what I just want to mention also, we understand the issue of teachers. Like I said, this is a 50-50 partnership. The school remain government school is exclusively owned by government.
Okay.
When the partners intervene in the school name doesn't change. If it is Peter Brown School, it remains Peter Brown School. The uniform remain government uniforms, and provider or partners are allowed to use the badge and soundboard to show that they are intervening in that school. So that's just 100% ownership. And the teachers are government payroll teachers.
Okay.
And provider have control in terms of ensuring that teaching and learning takes place within the school. So that's a rule. So the school remain government school. So provider focus mainly on the core issue in terms of learning delivery, instructional material, classroom. But we understand that a lot of constraints from government. The budgetary support cannot buy chairs, cannot renovate all of the school building, cannot put all of the teachers on payroll. Given the current number of teachers we have on payroll, if we were to fill in all of our classes, we need additional around 12,500 teachers to fill in it. That is not realistic now. So partners take over these schools, and we ensure that they should deliver in terms of learning outcome. So there are schools they inherited are three payroll teachers, 2 payroll teachers. So they work with the CEOs, the county education officer within the county, to recruit additional volunteer teachers qualified based on the CSA standing order, the requirement for teaching.
Okay.
And these teachers were recruited, they were trained, put in the classroom, and we ensure that providers or partners gave them a minimum stipend or honorarium to keep them in the classroom. That has been happening for the past 3 years across the schools they manage.
Now, you are working with 4 partners, 4 providers now, as we speak.
Yeah.
Mr. Dego, how do you monitor and evaluate them to determine that, yes, indeed, they are really performing, so that they are not part of the other 4 that were sanctioned?
Thank you. We had the monitoring arm at the ministry, the MAE component. We also have the structure at the county level. As you all know, we have recruited over the years decentralized staff, called the monitoring evaluation officer, the MAE officer, the planning, the HR officer to support the county structure. So, like I said, these schools are in the county, predominantly in the rural part of the country, the underserved counties. And we have these DUs, the CEOs, as part of the normal monitoring visit, inspection visit. They visit the LEAP schools and non-LEAP schools and check on these indicators. How many teachers attended class today? What's the lesson completion? What is the attendance rate? Look at all of these indicators that trickle learning gain. Unfortunately, we are not in a position to do another randomized control trial because it's quite expensive.
Okay.
So rely on the previous RSCT and also set indicators and get benchmark for them to meet. And this benchmark being followed up in terms of you should have at least 80% attendance or retention rate. If you have 50 students today, at least next year you have above 50. And we look at the dropout rate, all of those indicators. And we also go beyond to see what are the reasons students dropping, what are the reasons the student is not performing. Since we're not doing another randomized control trial, we rely on our national assessment, which has to do with the WIAC. We encourage all of the LEAP supported schools to enroll into the program. So based on the results that we have from WIAC, we compare and see the performance of our students. And also the individual partner do a learning assessment as well. And those results are shared with us, and we also validate those results by doing a spot check to these schools.
You're listening to the SMS Rector on the OBC 99.9 and also frequencies across Liberia. Now, can you tell us about the updates on the financial support to the MOE?
Thank you. Like I said, this program is donor driven, and we need donor to support our education sector in terms of getting the needed result. And since the inception of this program in 2016 up to 2022, just a summary in terms of the financial support or the external resources contributed into our sector from the LEAP partners.
Okay.
That closing the tune of around $31 to $32 million over the past 6 years into the sector.
Okay.
That is a significant resources that has helped to improve learning across the country. So the good thing about the program, based on the gains of the programs, And taking into consideration some of the challenges we had, try to reshape the program into a way that is sustainable. The LEAP intervention has been earmarked or highlighted in our sector plan.
Okay.
As we all know, the previous sector plan got expired, and now we develop a new sector plan 2022 to 2027, a 5-year plan
Okay.
that catalog where the ministry wants to go, what are those external sponsors, multilateral donor philanthropy sponsors that are contributing to education. So the projection for the next 5 years is around $25 million from the philanthropy donor to support this initiative, with the idea to expand from 487 schools to at least 650 schools over the next 5 years.
Okay. Now, given the support to the Ministry of Education, has it been current, or how does it come in?
So basically, like I said, this is a transparent program. Like I said, we want to be clear on this platform that the ministry doesn't handle a dime from the LEAP intervention. So the philanthropy donor raised these fundings, and it's been channeled through a third party, a grant agent that manages the funding, the pool funding for the LEAP interventions. So like I said, this is per capita student grant of $50. So based on the number of students you have, you are given a grant of $50 per child. And that money comes through the pool funds and is been disbursed to provider based on the grant agreement with the third party, the social finance, and the funders, along with the ministry involved, to get an overview of how the money is expanded. And this provider do on a yearly basis share the expenditure budget with the ministry.
Okay.
And the ministry monitor and ensure that you receive $50 is being spent in the school. So that's the system put in place. And the pool funding doesn't just disburse money to them. The pool fund also do spot check visit. When they do the start of school report and share all of the enrollment data, out of the pre-opening activities, after a month or two, we have a delegation that comes to visit these schools and see exactly how the money is being spent. If you bought instructional material for the school, we want to see the receipt, the quantity, the amount spent on these. If you did minor repair and renovation of the school facility, we want to see it. If you disbursed stipend, like I said, this is something we put in the MOU to volunteer teachers to keep them in the classroom. We want to see all of those. So they verify that information. So this program is a transparent program. This program is a program that is contributing to government, and government doesn't handle any of the funding. The only thing government does is to provide the school, the building with the payroll teacher.
Okay, so you said you are working in all of the schools across the 15 political subdivisions of the country, right?
Yeah, out of the 15 counties.
Okay.
In selected schools.
I selected schools. So let's take, for instance, in Sano County, from where I hail from. How many schools are you working with?
Well, we got one provider that is currently intervening in Sino, which is Rising Academy. I may not be too exact on the number of schools, but they control a good number of schools, probably around 10 to 12 schools in Sino.
Public schools only?
Public schools only. We don't intervene in private school.
Okay.
So this is almost like a form of, this is a PPP, public-private partnership. And this is slightly different from the company schools. They're all private actors in our sector. The private schools, they're all actors in our sector. They complement government effort. Government doesn't have the resources to open public school everywhere. So our private schools are open, and these schools charge fees. The reliance or the sustainability of those schools charge fees.
Yeah,
Unlike
sure.
the LEAP program, they receive donor support for the program. So there is no fee in those schools that manage. And I just want to dispel this notion that other people have. The government in no way is outsourcing our schools. If we were to outsource our schools, the provider will take exclusive control over the school and begin to charge fees. But no fees is charged. The school name remain our public school name. It doesn't change. The teachers are on government payroll teachers. The principals are government paid principals. And we have our DOs and COs that do oversight visit to these schools to ensure that providers or partners live up to the MOU we have with them.
Okay, we'll soon be opening the lines, but I just want you to be clear in telling us about the outcome as a result of this whole LEAP initiative. How is it positively impacting the whole learning outcome? How is it positively improving the sector, the education sector?
I would say at a greater extent, education, the result of education is not seen directly. Like if you do a strong or construction, you build a building today, after 1 year you see it's beautiful, it's physical, you see it. But education, these are soft skills that develop over a period of time. So if we invest in education, it takes a longer time to see the result of it. But like I said, over the past 3 years, we have seen the result. And if we continue with this intervention gradually, the result will keep to increase based on the methodology that is used, based on the rigorous monitoring and supervision of our teachers, based on the curriculum that is being used, based on the complementary components that help to develop our children. So I can say these are indicators that we have seen over the period of times, and the randomized control trial look at all of those indicators. So yeah, it was proven, and we hope that we'll continue on that trajectory to keep improving our sector. But if you look at the current number of public schools we have, this is just a minute intervention in terms of 487 schools. We have close to 2,700 plus public schools. So 400 plus is just around close to 20% of our schools, so which is far less. So like I said, this program has to be sustained in terms of the financial component. And the original project document was structured in a way that after a year or two, government would have begun to take over some of the responsibility and ensure that we increase our national budget to a point where we can spend at least $100 per child.
Okay. Now, finally, being the coordinator of this LEAP program, what do you think could be the future of this program?
Basically, we hope that our economy can improve. We have a good support to education, but my goal is to ensure that whatever support should be done in the right way and should benefit our children. The sustainability aspect of this program, by and large, we have to be relying on government. How government take this program, how government puts support into this program to maintain it. It is proven that these partners have vast experience in education, and they have effected a system-wide change in terms of the practices that we do in our sector. We have learned a lot from the program, and we have improved somehow in our monitoring area, improved somehow in our teachers' attendance, and so forth. So looking at this in the next few years, this program could be sustained and later take the best practices out of this program and have a system-wide change and continue with this intervention.
Okay, Mr. Ibrahim Derko. Mr. Derko is our guest here. He's the coordinator of the LEAP program. He's been providing some detailed explanation regarding the operation of the program and how it's also impacting our education sector. You can begin putting your calls now on 0776 540 987, or better still 0880 514 096. That's the numbers to call, and you are live on the Super Money Show this morning. We are talking about LEAP in our education sector. 0776 540 987. The first caller. Good morning.
Morning.
Yes, sir.
My name is Zenge Watisan from Duoma.
Okay.
You know, Liberians, we better know how to articulate. We can win any country in talking, but when it comes to realization of what we do, it just a mere flaw. Let me, before school opening, the private schools, they hacking the practice here. And they said they have community to go all over. While we bought from the private schools, this information sheet, they see money charge, they remain. They will get the mayor blocking Monrovia. As the mayor have just said, listen to the policy maker still there. You know, he can better talk. Come to Hademo. The government teacher there, you don't give note, but they go to other private schools, they use talk to write. But every day, every week we buy pamphlets for our children in our place. Every week. So if a parent will not afford to buy pamphlets, because what I'm saying, people say whenever just talk, you go to fiasco. You know.
Okay. Let's hear from you. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, sir.
Yes, sir.
Good morning.
Yes, sir. Go right ahead.
Yeah, I'm speaking from Samakante.
Okay.
Or the working school that in China, the teacher, most of them, they are not trained.
Which school?
Which school is that?
They have young public school. They have these are watches and teachers that created. In fact, no training wall on the teacher that watching St. Gabriel schools.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. I'm sure the lead mayor will take note and maybe follow up if that it's part, if those teachers are part of under the lead program, then I'm sure the appropriate training will be conducted for them. Good morning.
Yeah, morning.
Let's hear from you.
Yeah, my name is Lario Nubo calling from Sofe.
Okay.
Yeah, my concern how to do the public school are selling uniform, and the Ministry of Education said I don't want to buy uniform in the school. And now when it is $13, if you go to buy the 13 at 1,900 and 150, but now when you go to buy the uniform, it's 155. So that is my concern. I want to know that you can still get my dress down.
Okay.
The private school, the debt is 5,000. They said that they're going to put on a top food. We're going to see them. And then we pay $5,000. Then we'll do $11,000. Then we private school. So that's my take there.
Okay. Okay. Good morning.
Good morning. This is Michael B. Duran.
Okay.
Good morning. This is Michael B. Duran. I call you from Bon County to be precise. We're in Virginia, where government public school is.
Okay.
I'm concerned whether this brilliant guy who's speaking will end his visitation to that institution, which is one of the major with two ministries, which is a gentle, where Adonis girls are in school there. And I love the program. Will they extend his value system in that school? That's
Okay.
my question.
Okay. He's taking note to respond. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Luis JJ. I'm just calling to add some point aspect, Abraham. Just to add up to the quality of books and the program for which is LEAP. You have provided the books that they provide to the various public schools, 312 public schools in Liberia. You will find that private schools, notable private schools in Liberia, are beginning to adapt the context of what is being printed in the book. That alone speaks to the volume, the quality of the education that is being provided by LEAP. That's all I wanted to add to it.
Okay, many thanks. 0776540987, or better still, 0880-514-096. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, this is Marty. Let me say good morning to you again. And one of the men rising for the support since it started. But the big issue that few teachers from Rising has been complaining on, according to them, they receive communication from people who are supervising them that partner told them that they don't have money to pay them. So for the past of the August, September, or June, July, some of them did not receive the salary. But when they receive the communication letter that Rising have money to pay them, the salary issue was never addressed. So I want your guests to please address that situation. And who are the supervisor or the monitoring agent that they have in Sino County?
Okay. 0776-540-987, or better still, 0880-514-096. That's the numbers to call, and you are live on the Super Money Show. Again, 0880-514-096, or better still, 0776-540-987. Good morning.
Good morning, Saba.
Yes, sir.
Well, my name is Dolinsky Scalipe. I come from Balance and stuff. I want to tell your platform guests, thank you very much for what they are doing. We hope the government will extend those schools for the number of schools for implementation to be increased, because some of us have had the opportunity to work with other organizations that implemented a program like the ALP before in bombing, and that program contributed to the speedy recovery of dropout children during the course of the war to recover to meet the actual age where you have levels and things. So we want to encourage them to continue. Don't mind distract us, because what the people don't understand, those who are caught, they don't understand that some of the schools they are complaining about do not fall within the area of operation, or your program is not covering those schools. So they need to understand that. So we want to say thank you very much and keep up the good work.
Many thanks. Let's take this caller. Good morning. Good morning. Hello?
Good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Yes, go right ahead quickly now.
All right, I'm P. Manasa Swa for the Bon County.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to make an input regarding to the program. I'm one of the volunteer teachers of Rising Academy. I've been with the organization 6 years. And the way we are being treated and making us some of us to leave the program. As I speak, I send in my resignation just a year because we are being treated badly. When it comes to the staffing issue, Rising will not pay you for certain amount of money, then they expect you to do the work. These things are making us some of us to leave the program.
Okay. Okay, many thanks. You made your point already. 0776-540-987. Only 2 more calls we take, and then we'll wrap it up quickly. 0776-540-987, or better still, 0880-514-096. That's the numbers to call, and you are live. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Okay, this is Lauren Bobo. Thank you when I go to Foya Lubakade, because we are calling the village of 2023.
Okay.
Okay, let me appreciate him. But my question do go to him. Whether the program is in Lubakade, if it's in Lubakade, where are the location of this program? Thank you so much.
Okay, many thanks. And then call quickly 0776-540-987, or better still 0880-514-096. In the meantime, let's go back to our studio guests to respond to those concerns. Mr. Decker?
Yeah, thank you, Sabo, and thank you, Sabo, and to all of our callers that have called to bring to further points. We take everything very seriously, and we'll try as much as possible to address most of the concerns that were being raised. So basically, I speak on the LEAP intervention, and I'm not really speaking on our public school or the task force that was created by the ministry to ensure that we reduce the hack intuition. But like the caller that called on Habel Matolatra is not part of the LEAP intervention. So the issues of printing a pamphlet, I can speak on it. So I'll leave that. I think the Ministry of Authority is listening, and the way the county education officer is also there, Stephen Toh, will also follow up to ensure that we do not have these kind of practices in our public schools. We try as much as possible to create access and affordability. That's what the government, the educational law call for no fees at the public school. What we agreed on was a minimum amount that was stated in the academic calendar per level, which is called PT activity fees to support the school. Grade 1 to grade 6, $1,000 Liberian dollar. Grade 7 to grade 9, $2,000. And grade 10 to grade 12, $3,000 Liberian dollar. That's what we expect to be paid in our public schools across the country. There was a caller from Sino talking about the Rising intervention. The Rising is one of our partners that control 95 schools, and they got a few numbers of schools in Sino that they provide stipend to volunteer teachers. And like I said, in some of the counties, we found it difficult to recruit qualified volunteer teachers. It's difficult to get some overseas certificate in the rural part of the country. So what we do as part of the program to ensure that we have some of the classes filled, not to have students unattended to, we recruit with the county education officers and the DOs on board to ensure that these teachers that we're recruiting have a minimum of at least high school credential. We can train you for a few weeks, give you the necessary pedagogy to begin to teach. And we encourage them to enroll at the TTIs to improve their skills. So if he said that the teachers do not have the requisite credential to teach, probably he's speaking based on that they don't have C certificate, but they went through intensive training with Rising. They receive a certificate of certain hours of completion, and they are qualified to teach. I had not been so the CEO of the deal would have reflected in the Monday report to the ministry and would have taken action. So he also talked about the issue of stipend. Like I said, this is something that wasn't part of the initial plan. We expect that after 3 months, government would have employed this volunteer, but that is not happening. We all know the challenge with our payroll, the physical space. So we encourage this provider to provide minimum stipend to teachers. They have been doing it. We have close to 1,300 volunteers across the network. So if you dispense around $60 per person, just do the math, you know how much cost on the program, which is not part of the program responsibility. But yet and still we ensure that all of these teachers receive stipend. I'm aware of the case. They should have been paid for 10 months, but there was a difficulty in receiving funding. So they were paid for 9 months. I think there was 1 month outstanding. And all of them can attest at the beginning of the school year, they have all received stipend from September to October. Yeah, so there was a caller on uniform. Like I said, this is public school. In the LEAP schools, We do not sell uniform. We do not ask parents to pay for uniform. And the goal of this program is to increase access. We want students to come to school. There was no way a LEAP supported school would ask parent or student to go out for the lack of uniform. It's clearly stated in our education law, in the academic calendar, in the standing MOU with these partners, that no student should be put out because of lack of uniform. We encourage parents to buy uniform, but it's not or yesterday to put student out. We do not want it. So we have the performance managers, we have the monitors in the field. If a student comes to school 2-3 months without uniform, to work with the parents to ensure that please try to get uniform, get slippers or get shoes. So that's how been working. So no parents or DOs will tell you that the LEAP schools are putting students out for uniform. The issue of hacking tuition, like I said, we'll have a task force that will speak on it. I can speak on that. I think there was I think Louis called, he mentioned the quality of the program. We are receiving a lot of requests from our county education officers that, we need this program to intervene in XYZ school. But the more schools, the more resources. So that's why the program cannot expand beyond its capacity. We try to maintain a specific number, and gradually when there is opportunity for funding, we expand based on needs, and we have a selection criteria that at least a school should have a minimum of around 4 payroll teacher. Then the balance 3 or 4 payroll volunteer can be sourced by the providers to fill in the classroom. I think there was a question on, like I said, other private schools are using the books that were developed by Bridge Liberia, Rising Academy. Other private schools are coming to the company, to the LEAP partners, ask for the book. And there have been a lot of donations to other schools across the country to use, because these books are rich, they are structured, and they are in conformity with our national curriculum.
Okay.
So there was a question on, other people asking for the intervention to go to a school. Like I said, the funding limits our expansion for now, and this is something government is working on a sustainable plan and working on a sustainable funding for the program for the next 5 years. If that can be secured, we rest assured that we'll expand beyond the 487 schools. Like I said, the goal should be around 650 schools across the county. So I think all of volunteer teachers say he's leaving because when they get paid for a few months, it discontinues. He's been with Rising for 6 years. This is a challenge. I think my role as coordinator is to ensure that we resolve some of these human issues at the county. Like one of the biggest challenges has to do with getting teachers on the payroll. That's a challenge. Yeah, sure. We got competing priority. We got teachers from the public school, traditional public school, that need to get on payroll. We got LEAP supported teachers need to get on payroll. So by and large, been working with administration, central governments, and we have enrolled them gradually onto the payroll. And I just want to tell you that continue the good work. Teaching is calling. This is passion. And we can assure you that as the physical space becomes available, we'll try as much as possible to prioritize teachers that spend longer time in the service to get on payroll. So, so I think basically I've addressed most of the concern.
Okay, Mr. Darko, thank you very much. We did appreciate your time on the program today.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure being here, and I look forward to probably appearing one more time to give more update on this program. Thank you all to our listening audience. Thanks to all those that please call. We appreciate you, and together we can transform this country. This requires collective effort. Education is not cheap. We got to spend our time, our resources. This is a seed that you're planting, and when you plant the seed, it takes time to grow. It doesn't grow in 1 month. It doesn't grow in 2 months. When you invest in a child, it's taking around 20 plus years to reap that investment. So I want to challenge our parents in the rural part of the country, please send the children to school. They don't need force to get uniform to go to school. Just send them to school. And we encourage most of our schools that we work with, they are doing school garden program. And some of the schools, I want to commend the PTA for supporting those schools. And they have a big cassava farm, and they're supporting the school. When some of the proceeds help to improve the school environment.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay, he's Mr. Ibrahim Darko. He's the coordinator, Liberia Education Advancement Program, LEAP for short. He's been our guest on the SMS this morning. That's the segment of the SMS education